So we've looked at what a good relationship looks like. What about what a bad relationship looks like? Hey guys, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the diary. So yes, I have found some warning signs for a bad relationship. The site actually says 51 signs of a bad relationship. I picked out 25 of them to share with you today, and I might pick out a different 25 tomorrow or another time. So, my current 25 warning signs that you're not in a good relationship are: your partner actively tries to cut you off from your social network. Friends, family, mainly. So your partner is there like, oh, your friends are rubbish, your friends just always don't seem to like me and all this sort of thing. Or they make you want to spend more time with them than with your friends and family, so you just don't see them as much. Your partner doesn't respect your answer when you say no to something. This can be whether it's sex or anything like that. So if you don't necessarily want to have sex, you say no and they carry on, get out of there, because that's rape. If you don't want to go somewhere and they say no and they go anyway, that's not good. So you don't have a sense of relationship security, basically, because of the arguments you've had. You've almost broken up before. So with the relationship security, they'll either threaten to break up with you, or they'll give you ultimatum, basically in the sense of change or we're not gonna last. Your partner is dismissive of your emotions, especially fear. So if you say you're scared of something, they'll kind of make you do it. Sometimes that's okay, I mean, feel the fear, do it anyway. But if it's dangerous things, like if they drive and you don't like the feeling of them driving really fast, if they then go over the speed limit or anything like that, then it's a worry moment. It's one of those, this isn't right. If you ever get the feeling of this isn't right, that's a warning as well. So, like I said, there are times when it's okay to be pushed to do something that you're scared of, or to be pushed into a scary situation, because you will not go over that fear if you don't experience it and don't experience how to get over that fear. But doing dangerous things, or being made to do dangerous things, is the problem, is a big worry about it. Partner involves you in unethical activities, such as lying on official forms you may sign. That's what it says, but that's not quite, What it means is, while it can be a thing that you will say that you're not a couple, or that you're not living together and live together to get more benefits, because sometimes the benefit system will say if you're living together you get less benefits than if you were single and living apart. That's one of those grey areas, because you can actually actively want that because you'll get more money, but that's against the law. That's not right. No one should be persuading you to do that. You either live together and say you're living together, or you don't and say that you're not. You can't do both. You feel worse about yourself as a person than when you started the relationship. Less confident. You see fewer positive qualities about yourself. Everyone dislikes something about themselves. I don't like my nose. My nose always looks weird. I just can't find the right angle of my nose, because the nostrils just sit awkwardly. It's just like, what? that's something normal, but to feel comfortable in a set of clothing, like with me, I feel more comfortable in boyish clothes. And then to have someone turn around and say, you look fat, which kind of true, boys' clothes are more baggy, so you do sort of look fat. And then to be like, oh, wear a dress, you look better in a dress. That isn't right. If you don't feel comfortable in a dress, ladies, if you don't feel comfortable in a dress, and say your male partner or your female partner, whoever it is, I really don't care, but say your partner turns around and says, oh, you should wear a dress because you look pretty. You will, if you end up then thinking, I don't like the look of myself in a dress, I'm wearing this dress because I was told I look pretty, but I think I look bad, I don't like it. Get out of there. No one should be telling you how to dress, how to behave, how to speak, anything like that. No one should be telling you anything like that. They can advise you, they can say, I reckon you look nicer in a dress, but how do you feel? If they turn around and say, but how do you feel, and then respect how you feel, then they're reasonable, they're good. Even if they moan about it, it's like, oh, but I prefer you in a dress, I prefer you like this. People moan, people do stuff like that. If they consistently moan and they consistently want you to wear a dress, then no, they're not the best. But if they're like, oh, do the puppy dog, but then when you go to please them, they're like, no. If you feel better without it on, don't. Then they're more of a keeper than the one that's like, that's more like it. Wear that dress. That's it. That's more like it. Good. You don't feel able to get your partner's attention when you want to talk about something important. This one's awkward. Because there are gamers out there. And it's hard to get a gamer's attention as it is anyway. But if they're not willing to pause a pausable game, or come back to you the moment they die in a non-pausable game, then they're not really worth talking to or having around, because their game is more important than you are. Gamers, if you go out with a gamer, they are probably, as long as they're decent, they're probably one of the better types of people that you can go out with, because the games that they play can affect them in certain things. Like with me, I play Minecraft, so I'm extra creative. I'm creative anyway, but Minecraft makes me more creative than normal because it allows me to put it out in a way that I enjoy. I don't always enjoy painting, it's just, no. I don't necessarily do colouring because of my dyspraxia. It hurts my hand. I don't do sewing because, again, my dyspraxia, I tend to prick my finger. Knitting and crochet, again, is a dyspraxia thing. I can do knitting, it's not a thing. It's not something that I physically can't do. It's just, I can't for hours sit there doing that, even though the autism turns around and says, oh, it's repetitive, it's good, it's amazing. You're just doing the same thing over and over. My brain's like, oh my days, this is so boring. But that's what I mean. If they're playing certain games like that, it will bring out their personality more, and it gives them a specific way to bring out their personality. And if they're willing to pause that pausable game to hear what you have to say and give you back some really good feedback, whether that's advice, positive criticism. Criticism's awkward. Everyone needs criticism. But just, oh, it's stupid. It sucks. It's dumb. That is bad criticism. That's criticism that I hate. I don't like it when people give me criticism like that, because what was the point in you turning around and saying that? Oh, you suck. Yeah, great. Any particular reason why? Or you don't like it? It just shows that you cannot be bothered to think of a good reason or a particular reason why something's bad, something's rubbish, or that you just don't like someone. That's the type of criticism that's useless. Constructive criticism, or good criticism, is things like when... I'm trying to think of something. Alright, okay. I'll give my one. I don't like Donald Trump because of the fact that, from what I've seen and heard from my American friends, Donald Trump is more of a businessman that hasn't actually had any real experience of running a country. He's run businesses, he knows how to run things. However, running a country is different to running a business. If you try and run a country like you're running a business, it's not going to work. So me saying I don't like this person because it just doesn't look right, or from what I know, he doesn't actually have the proper experience to work to do what he's been employed to do. And then placing facts and findings in by saying how he scrapped the Obamacare plan, which in my eyes was actually really good, because from what I understand, the Obamacare made it so that the average person could afford healthcare. I said it previously, I believe, guys. It's almost $3,000 just to call an ambulance out. That's £3,000. No, $3,000 just to call an ambulance out. It's so bad over there that there are people with epilepsy and other people like that that actually have wristbands on that say, in state of emergency, do not call out an ambulance. People actually don't want to call ambulances out because they don't want to pay the ambulance fee. So that's a bit more constructive criticism. Give a reason why something is the way you're saying it is. Your partner doesn't seem interested when you experience success, or they lower your success. The site says belittle, so I put lower. When I say lower, I don't mean like that. I mean, I didn't necessarily want to say mock, because they're not mocking it. They're just saying things like, it was only luck how you got that. It was just because I said this or I said that and you got it. So they're not overexcited, or they're not majorly happy. They're just like, oh, did you? Oh, cool. About it. Now that there, again, is kind of a bit of a grey area, because people are people. Depression is a big, big thing in this world at the moment. And if someone's depressed and you give them something like that, sometimes they won't respond the way you think they would or would hope they would. And it might just be a thing of depression, but that's another problem. If you truly love someone and they turn around and say, I did this amazing thing today, and that person's not then suddenly out of that depressive mood, something's really, really wrong. And either they need to get help, or you need to get out of there. If that's how it is. If it's a thing of depression, then they need to get help. And if it's not, you know that they're not depressed and they're just like, yeah, whatever. about it, just don't bother. Don't bother being there, because they're not gonna change. You don't feel able to confide in your partner if you were to reveal something that you're sensitive about. You're not sure how they would react. So, say you've got something that's weird about you, not necessarily weird, not always weird, but something you're embarrassed by. And you're worried that your partner, who is supposed to love you unconditionally, you're worried about telling them. Don't tell them and don't be with them. Because if you're worried that they will mock you or have a go at you or laugh at you or anything like that, then they're not really worth it. I mean, you can try by giving them a little less embarrassing thing. If you've got one serious embarrassing thing, but you've got several other slightly embarrassing things that aren't overly embarrassing, and you're worried about how they're going to react, you use one of those to test them. And if they start laughing at you, you might want to start thinking about leaving that relationship. You're not sure how dependable or supportive or reliable your partner would be in a situation when you really needed them. Things like if a close family member was to get ill. It says cancer on here, but there's worse things in my eyes. Like actual death. But no, if you don't think that your partner's going to be there to care enough to be a shoulder to cry on, or be with you when you need them to be with you, there's no point. There's no point being there. There's no point being with them, because they're never gonna be supportive. They're never gonna be that way. They're only gonna be there when they can see something in it for themselves. If they're only with you in terms of physical being with you when there's something for them, leave. That's another one. Technically 26 then. But yeah, it kind of fits in with this one, so it's 11 and 11.5, we'll say. No, 10 and 10.5, we'll say. Not 11 and 11.5. So if they're only ever there with you when there's something in it for them, it's not right. You blame your partner for your life not being satisfying as you'd like it to be, or they blame you, as it says here. I'm going to focus a lot more on they blame you, because a lot of the time you will think that your partner's perfect and everything is all sun and rainbows. But if they blame you for not having a satisfying life, or the relationship not being satisfying, something's not right. Definitely not right. Your partner's dismissive of your interests, projects, and they judge things you do by how important they perceive them to be rather than how important they are to you. So things like saying how gaming isn't important and you shouldn't be gaming, you should be working, or you should be looking after the kids, or you should be dealing with the money, or anything like that. If they say, oh, you shouldn't be spending all your time gaming, or you should be spending more time sleeping, when you love gaming and you know how much gaming helps you with anything you might have, I mean, gaming really helps depression. Gaming can help sort out anxiety issues because you're just a voice at that point. If they're gonna stop you from doing something that's really important to you, they're not the right kind of person. You don't think your partner would make a good parent. This is if you were talking about having kids, or you were thinking about having kids with them. You think about it and you imagine moments of severe physical abuse, not just onto you, but onto your kids, that's a pretty big red flag right there. If you have a suspicion that your partner can physically harm you or your kids, then leave. It's not worth being in that relationship. There are times you avoid going home, going out for a drink or a meal by yourself or with friends, because it's more relaxing after a stressful day rather than going home to your partner. So, let's unravel that a little bit. That basically says you'd rather be anywhere than at home with your partner after a bad day, because your partner is just not there for you at all. If you find yourself relaxing any other way than relaxing with your partner, just trying to find a way of saying that, because having a bath is relaxing, and that kind of contradicts it. So if you can't relax by talking to your partner or being around your partner, something's not as right as you might think it is. You can't think of a single way in which your partner and you and your partner make a great team. It's kind of hard to explain that one. Your partner's the source of negative surprises, such as large unexplained charges on a joint credit card. Buying things and just randomly spending money on things like that when you've been put in charge of keeping the money as it is, or they've been taking money off you, is not a good sign. If you're trying to work out a budget and make sure that you can survive, and they're spending all the money, it shows that they're not listening to you, and it shows that they're selfish. I made the money, so I'm going to spend it no matter what. No. Not good. Your partner goes out but doesn't tell you where, or fails to arrive home when expected and has no explanation. Again, this one's different. In terms of not getting home when expected, that one's awkward because incidents happen, roads get closed, snow starts falling and it gets icy, people get delayed. But to not text, ring, or anything like that, to say you're going to be late, is the problem. Is where it's not right. Because anyone that is trying to hide something will think up an excuse on the way or at the door when they get home. But anyone who truly cares will say, look, I'm running late, I'm just here, I'm doing this at the minute and this has happened while it's happening. Anyone who cares will tell you the second they know that they're delayed and that not to worry and everything, because they are on their way. You catch your partner lying repeatedly. It can be about anything. It can be about seeing a friend, normally with male to female partnerships. So more often than not, the male partner will actually go off seeing female friends and everything. Sometimes they will end up having sex with that female friend even while they're with another female, and they'll lie about it. Sometimes it's the female in the female to male relationship that will go off and sleep with another man or anything or something like that. But if they're lying about it repeatedly, or they go off somewhere and you really don't know where they're going, and they'll give you something, they'll tell you where they are, and then you find out from someone else that they weren't there, they were somewhere else, it's not right. You worry that your partner might get so angry they hurt you. That is probably one of the biggest red flags out there. If you feel they can hurt you, they probably will end up doing it. So just leave it. You have a sense of being trapped in the relationship. You want to leave, but they keep holding you back, stopping you leaving, or saying things like, "Oh, you won't manage without me. You depend on me. I help you with everything." You'll end up at home. Ignore them. You really won't. Especially not if you still have your parents. Go to your parents. If they've been telling you that it's been bad, just say, "You're right, I'm sorry." They will let you in. They're not angry with you. They haven't fully turned their back on you. They were just waiting for you to see for yourself. I know how embarrassing it will be to stand there and go, "You were right, I'm sorry." But you've got to. When you argue, one or both of you always gets defensive. You can never acknowledge the other person has some valid points. If you say things like, "Oh, you never do this," or "You never do that," and they flip it around on you and say, "Well, you never do it either." I do that myself sometimes, but I do that for a genuine reason. If they're doing it just for the sake of putting it into competition, it's not right. If they're doing it and you realise that you never do that, then there's something wrong with the both of you and you need to work on it. You need to change it. And if they're not willing to change, then it's not worth it. It's not right. But if you say something like, "You never do this," and they start getting angry or defensive about it, then they're not willing to accept that they have a problem. When you argue, you just blame each other rather than just rather than each accepting some blame. With me, I turn around and be like, "Well, it might have been. I don't remember. If it was, I'm sorry. But I don't remember doing it." If I know I've done it, I'll say sorry. If I know for sure that I didn't, I won't. I'll refuse. If I think that there might be a possibility that I would have done something or that I did something, then I'll say that. I'll say I don't remember, but there might have been a chance it was. I will never say sorry for something that I didn't actually do. You're very critical of each other. You feel constantly nitpicked about the ways you're not good enough, is what it says here. But it's not just being told about why you're not good enough or how you're not good enough. It's also, "This irritates me, that irritates me, this, that, and the other," and it's things you can't actually help. It's like, "Oh, the tone of your voice." Well, the tone of your voice you can, but the way your voice sounds, it just sounds like things like that. It's like, you can't really help the way your voice sounds. I mean, you can change it if you really want to, but why? Why should you? It's like YouTuber Riyadh Khalif. He was asked to sound less gay on radio, and he just quit the job there and then, because it's like, why should I? And actually, him not sounding less gay has turned him into a model icon and help and advice giver to young gay men all across, not just England and Wales, but across most of the country, or most of the world, sorry, especially those that speak English. He is a big icon for that group of people, and because he was told to sound less gay, he was like, nah. It's one of those things, it's like, don't let people tell you what to do, don't let people tell you how to be. You find yourself lying to other people because you're ashamed of your partner's behaviour. Things like making excuses when they haven't shown up to an event like they plan to. If you're meeting your partner somewhere with friends and they don't show up, you might turn around and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, he's just ill," or something like that. Or, "I'm sorry, he's not normally like this, he's not normally late." Or, "He doesn't normally not show up, he's always here normally." If you find yourself doing things like that, and it happens constantly, that's the thing. If it happens all the time, you want to be getting out of there, because he's never going to show up, or they're never going to show up. If you find yourself doing it once or twice, it's a bit different, because like I said before, people get delayed. Things happen to people, and it stops them showing up, or it stops things happening. Just because it happens once doesn't mean say it's bad. It's how they respond to it happening that you want to be looking at. There's an absence of affection in your relationship. You rarely kiss, touch, smile at each other. Smiling's weird. People smile anyway. You'll quite often smile at each other anyway. It doesn't matter what. But you rarely kiss or touch, or you only have sex when he wants it. Things like that. You don't want to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't want to hug you or kiss you. That's not... I mean, granted, some people, like Shanley Cooper, have got a thing about it. That's different. But if they're, we'll say normal, if they're really very normal, and they don't want to touch or kiss you, and they've got no issues with touching someone else, or anything like that, then that's where you're like, no, that's not fair, and you want to get out of there. So that's, we'll say 25.5. 25 red flags of a relationship. So if anything like that happens in your relationship, and it's constant, and it's got no real reasonable excuse or reason behind it, then you might want to start thinking about leaving that relationship. If you spot anything in those friends, if you spot anything of those in relationships that your friends are in, 2 pieces of advice. Just be there for them. Actually, 3 pieces of advice. Just be there for them. Don't force them to leave if they don't want to. If they're saying no and they don't want to get out of there, don't force them. Let them know about what's happening, and let them know that it's not a good looking relationship. It doesn't look right. Let them know about that, but don't force them to leave, because they've got to want to. They've got to admit that something's wrong, and they've got to leave themselves. And number 3, don't go confronting the abuser. If you hear this and know that someone's doing all this, don't go to the abuser saying, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the other, because you're just putting your friend in danger. Or if your friend is the abuser, you're putting their partner in danger. So just don't go confronting the abuser. Just be a friend to whoever it is. Be there for them. Don't force them to leave. Just talk to them, be a pair of ears, and don't confront the abuser. So that's it from me today, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Today's question is do you know any red flags of a bad relationship? What is your biggest red flag for a relationship? What cuts a relationship off for you, basically? So let me know down below. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. See ya.
Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene. Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime.